This show is brought to you by Drift Outfitters in Toronto at 199 Queen Street East. Drift is remaining open during these difficult times, but with a new way of getting you your fly fishing goods without allowing customers into the shop. Visit them online at driftoutfitters.com to order products and take advantage of free shipping across Canada on orders over $100. Why not help them out during this difficult time for small businesses? Give them a shout out on Instagram. Got a great photo to share? Tag at Drift Outfitters. Also, you can tag your fly tying pics with hashtag self-isolation to show your friends and your followers how you're spending your downtime. Giving Drift more exposure and love right now is one way we can help keep them going. These are tough times, and we must find a way to continue supporting our community store. Visit driftoutfitters.com for more information. Hello and welcome to another episode of So Fly. It is the end of April 18th. This show's coming out on the 19th. Look at that. My name is Mitch. We've got Aldo.
Hey.
We've got Yilma.
Hey, everyone.
We've got a very special guest on the show today. Super excited to be talking to James from Chums. James, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. We're stoked to talk about your fishing life and Chums and all the cool stuff you guys are doing. Maybe before we get into stuff, why don't you just tell everybody listening who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name is James Denalter. I'm the director of marketing over at Chums. Just a small town, kind of redneck Arizona boy. Living in the little bit fancy town of Sun Valley, Idaho now. That's where the owners of Chums live, and brought me up here to run marketing for them, and stoked about it. Love my job. Love the product we sell, and it's a good time. Family-owned company. Yeah. Just kind of a small group, and it's a really fun company to work for.
Oh, that's wicked, man. Yeah, we've been rocking your hats and stuff. Chums is awesome, man. We love your gear, and also the lanyards, recycled lanyards are really cool. Love that stuff.
Man. It's a funny thing for us because I think 90% of fishermen, of anglers, are wearing some kind of like sunglass retainer. Yeah. And really probably 80% of those are wearing Chums, and we never really marketed direct to consumer before. We're a pretty business-to-business company. Yeah. So kind of my job is to be like, hey, you guys are all already rocking Chums. You already love Chums. You just don't know it. So let me tell you about it. So,
exactly.
So it's interesting. There's probably a lot of guys listening to this that are going to look at their sunglasses right now and be like, oh, I do got a pair of Chums on.
Yeah, that's cool.
So Chums started as an eyewear retainer company?
Yeah, back in 1983. So we've been around 37 years this year. Yeah. Oh, wow. And it really started on the raft side. There's a raft guide in the Grand Canyon. Was sick of losing his glasses and his customers' glasses. You guys know, if you're an avid rafter or fisherman, sometimes your sunglasses are your most expensive gear, and you tend to lose them every once in a while. So this guy started sewing them out of shoelaces in the back of his van, making cotton Chums. Hand them out one by one to his customers, and it just grew, and the demand got big for it. And so still manufactured at the same facility in southern Utah, a little town called Hurricane, Utah. And
nice.
Like I said, it really started with the rafting community, but then the fishing community jumped on and really are probably our core users now, and make up the most of our demographic. So
right on.
Yeah, just started, and still our bread and butter is the sunglass retainer.
Yeah.
Oldest sunglasses around.
Awesome.
Little insurance plan.
Love it. So you said you started you're from Arizona originally, yeah?
Yeah.
How did you
get into Arizona?
How did you get into fishing in the outdoor world? Like how did it all begin?
Yeah, so for this podcast it's a little backwards, but I'll give you. So I grew up redneck, right? We hunted and fished. That's what we did. We like to hunt and fish and be outdoors, and I always loved that. And I went to school at Arizona State University, and in the summers, my wife and I were lucky enough to land a job in Jackson, Wyoming as raft guides.
Oh, cool.
On Snake River. Yeah, so we'd move out of college and we'd go up there and we'd live in our old van again. Yeah. And we'd live on the river for 3 months and feel like bums. Then we'd go back and
That's
back
awesome.
to school.
That's so fun.
It was great.
Yeah.
That's a story right there.
Yeah, it was the greatest, man. It was, and then it's great because you live in a little van. You go back to like a shitty college apartment. You're like, this is a mansion. So it was the best of both worlds. And fell in love with the Chums brand because it's a rafting brand, and then and it fit my outdoor lifestyle for fishing and hunting as well. And graduated from ASU with a degree in sports business and worked for the NCAA over here for the Final Four for a couple of years.
Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm a big sports guy, and I loved it. I ran their social and ran a lot of their grassroots marketing, and my lighting's getting weird here too now.
Oh no!
But I loved it. It was a great time, but really missed the outdoor world part of that. You know, a lot of guys that work in that industry actually, surprisingly to me, aren't outdoorsmen.
Yeah.
You know, I figured if you love sports, you probably love the outdoors, but a lot of those guys are like, oh, you can't, you know, don't go hunting, don't go fishing, don't go camping this weekend. We need to do this instead. And so,
right.
So knew I kind of wanted to downgrade and work for a smaller brand, something I felt like I could have a big impact on. And yeah, Chums had a job opening, so I just kept bugging them until they hired me. And here we are 3 years later.
That's awesome. Man, NCAA, that's a lot of work.
It was, man. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. It was a lot of work, a huge event. I love it. It was the dream job, you know, but I was like, I need to slow down a little bit. I need a little more time to go chase some other hobbies and some other passions.
Yeah, especially the Final Four is probably, you know, especially for March, like your life is nuked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, really all spring, because then you're doing rollout stuff until May, really afterwards, and and then fall you're getting prepared for it. I mean, it just like
it was too much.
When you wanted to be outdoors, you really couldn't. There was just other stuff going on, and I wanted to slow down, and Chums offered me that, and yeah, it's been great. Been here for 3 years and worked my way up, and get to run marketing now.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Wicked, man. So when did fly fishing come into your life? Was it when you got to Idaho?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, I tried a few times in Jackson. You know, that's a great fly fishing.
Good place to try it.
Yeah, exactly. But I was like a cheap college student, so I couldn't like invest in the gear. I just would use my buddies' gears.
Yeah.
And then I'd go home back to Arizona for school, and I'd start just throwing my spinner out again and fishing for bass in Arizona. And I fished a lot on Lake Powell for striper bass, and a lot like it's called Black River in northern Arizona.
Okay.
For bass as well, and it's funny because like people hear bass fishing, I think of like southern bass fishing, like out on a lake on your boat, you know, the Jersey and all. Bass fishing in Arizona. Yeah. Bass fishing in Arizona is a lot like fly fishing, except for the gear. You know, like we would hike into these pretty remote rivers.
Right.
You know, and beautiful scenery. And that's what I always loved about fishing. I mean, I loved all of it, but it was just another way to get outside and we try to go find elk sheds, and we try to find deer sheds, and we'd hike and fish. And so, fly fishing really appeals to me for that same reason. You know, it's similar, totally. You know, get to a remote place and just be outdoors. And so, I moved up here and started working for Chums, and, you know, I really fell in love with Chums because of the rafting side, but our fishing side, the bigger demographic, like I said, and was feeling like a phony because I was talking about fly fishing a lot and wasn't doing it. So really like the last year and a half trying to dive into it and get my feet wet.
And, for sure.
And learn the sport.
Rad. Arizona, man, like it's crazy. Like hiking into bass rivers and stuff. Like what's the landscape like there? Fishing there must be pretty gnarly.
Yeah. Well, people don't get. Arizona's got like the biggest pine forest in the United States. Maybe if you know kind of Ponderosa pine. So I'm from like northern Arizona. It's 5,000 feet elevation. There's a ski mountain pretty close, and so it was like big Ponderosa pine forest rivers that we were hiking into.
Right.
A lot of elk. You know, if you got any guys that like to hunt, Arizona's kind of the mecca for elk hunting. So that's right in the heart of elk country. This river. Yeah. The San Carlos Reservation, which is getting pretty popular for hunting, and so yeah, it was more like Rocky Mountain, trout fishing, except it was for bass in Arizona.
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, I know. When I think Arizona, like I've never been there. I just think like, those classic, like, almost desert kind of landscapes and things like that. It's cool. Like it looks like such a cool place to go fishing. I mean, even up north too, on bass rivers.
Yeah, we did do some lake fishing, Roosevelt's that classic river. Lake, in the desert, and we did some lake fishing, but that's always been a little slower for me to get. I need to be able to hike and move around and change it up. It got hard on boat, but what's fun in Arizona is striper fishing. We did a lot of striper bass fishing in Lake Powell.
That's
cool.
That's a good time, man.
Yeah, that's something we want to do really badly is the striper fishing.
Stripers, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys will have to come out, man. We'll meet up in Arizona.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
Sounds good.
We're not professionals at all, but me and my brother will get you out and chase some fish. But
Yeah.
they're pretty easy to find when they call it the boil. They all come to the top of the water, and it really does make the water look like it's boiling. You just gotta
so cool.
just gotta find those boils, man, and it's easy fishing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's it, really. So stripers, what you're looking for are the boils, and there's not really structure or anything like that. It's just that's their thing.
I'm gonna offend someone because there's a lot of people listening that know more about striper fishing than me. Lake Powell, that's
how. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, we kind of spring going into summer, right around now, really, actually, and looking for those boils.
Yeah,
kind of knowing where they hang out, and
that's fun, man.
Just kind of getting on them, staying on them for the day.
That's fun.
It is an interesting point. Like I fished Lee's Ferry.
Yeah.
At Marble Canyon. And then after driving out it's an interesting point about the forest because I remember when I was driving out, I was heading southwest, like on the way to California. I can't remember the highway, but anyway. And then all of a sudden the desert stops and there's this giant pine forest starts.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
And then I was driving through. So yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. That made me. By the way, Lee's Ferry is amazing.
Yeah. Shout out to my friend. I actually know he listens to your podcast. He's one of the ones that put me on it. But Peyton Flake is like, he's the buddy. Like I said, like truthfully, we grew up redneck. We'd like run to the cow ponds before high school and like fish catfish, like for 30 minutes on our way to school. And he was the kid that always made me do that. I loved to hunt. He loved to fish. We were a good combo. And so, he'd always call me, hey, I'm coming to pick you up before basketball practice. We're going to go fish for catfish for a second. And but he got into fly fishing, man. He won't even throw a spinner anymore. He's like, he won't fish with me anymore because he's
full fly
fishing.
Good shit, Peyton.
Yeah, he's in Lee's Ferry all the time, man. He's always sending me videos and like, you got to come, you got to get down here. So I got to make that happen soon.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's amazing. So Lee's Ferry is, it's like the Marble Canyon stretch it's part of the Grand Canyon, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's one of the few places that you can drive down pretty easily, and there's parking and camping and whatever. So I camped there, and the water there is like it's like emerald green.
Oh,
and there's
seen photos
big
of
rainbows.
Yeah.
And it like contrasted with like the red rocks or whatever. You're like on Mars fishing in like an emerald green river.
And if you go down like on a drift boat or just a fishing boat, you'll go through Horseshoe Bend. So it's like you like fish Horseshoe Bend, which goes into Marble. Horseshoe Bend's a big photo place now, and the next canyon down is actually called Jackass Canyon. And as a kid, this is like I fished all this stuff. I just didn't know about fly fishing. As a kid, we'd hike down there once or twice a year, and it's a brutal hike.
Yeah,
right.
And we go catch big fish down there, a couple times a year. Really like no trail going down that canyon, a pretty brutal hike. You're just kind of in the middle of nowhere, but great fishing. So I fished that stretch a few times, but I've never fly fished it.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome.
It's funny, the places you go as a kid and you're just kind of like unaware of where you are, what you're doing, It's just like shit.
That was like the credit for me.
Yeah.
Unaware, just catch turtles. And then it's like one of the best streams that we have up here or down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. So how's the foray into fly fishing been? Like what do you remember like your first fish? Like how have you been finding the transition from spin to fly?
Yeah, I mean, of course I remember my first fish. I mean, I'm going to be really honest on this.
Yeah.
It's intimidating.
Yeah.
Fly fishing's intimidating, right? Like people are good at it. They take first summer here, I live in Sun Valley. We have the Silver Creek that runs through it, and we have the brown drake hatch that's, here they talk about it being, world famous. I don't know if that's an exaggeration or not, but there's a lot of vehicles from different places in the world
coming up.
In my first year, man, it's like the scenic river, and there's people all over, and they're waiting for the hatch. They're all sitting in their cars, but it's pretty crowded.
Yeah.
But no one's on the creek yet because the hatch hasn't happened yet. They're kind of waiting for that evening hatch, and I ran down there with a spinner and started fishing it, and I'm just like, people are pissed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't belong here. I'm gonna go ahead and back out. And so I got out of there, and that kind of got me intimidated. But I'm like, all right, I have to learn this. This looks like too much fun. So I have a couple local buddies here that luckily are really, really patient and get me out and teach me. And been lucky. I really need to put more practice. I've been lucky to land a few fish, but also I get frustrated because these guys, they're patient, but they start fishing and they get away from me. And a lot of times I find myself going back and grabbing my spinner because I just want to catch a fish.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be tough,
You have patient friends? What's that like? That must be a dream.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I might have misspoken. They're patient for about like 10 minutes.
Okay.
They pick up and started, and then all of a sudden they're like half a mile down. And I'm like, hey,
yeah.
I'm going to grab my spinner.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, you're in a heck of a place to be learning how to fly fish. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's a great spot. Yeah. We have, the Big Wood, the Big Law, Silver Creek. There's some great fly fishing right around here.
Oh yeah. And you're probably not far from Henry's Fork, right?
Yeah, we're like 3.5 hours, and
Nice.
Same thing. When I was in Jackson, I used to go fish that with my spinner, but I still haven't got it with a fly rod. This is committing me, guys. See, I'm feeling a little bit like a fraud. So
no,
I'm gonna...
no, not at all. You fished, more famous fly fishing water than I have even come close. So
exactly. I've heard so many times on some of our shows about the Big Wood and the areas you fish in, man. So Henry's
Fork, man. Jeez.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, let's plan 2 trips. We'll get you on some striper and Lake Powell, and you guys can come out here and on anything, but you guys can go get yourself on some stuff because there's
awesome.
The Big Wood's like 500 yards out of my house, and
oh my cool. God.
Silver Creek's a 30-minute drive. Henry's Fork is 3 hours. The Snake is an hour. So
yeah. Jesus. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. God, is Chums hiring?
Always.
So let's maybe talk about now, because we've got this crazy isolation thing going on. The world's all kind of thrown into the air so quickly. I keep thinking about how fast things change. Like 2 months ago, we were like excited for trout opener. We were going to be bass fishing and, talking to our guide buddies in the States and our guide friends down here. And it's just like, everything was just, groovy another year. And then boom, everything just like overnight, things just kind of changed. And for us, it sucks because it's like, oh, we can't do trout opener, but it's like, there's guides that are actually suffering because that's their main income all over North America. So what is Chums doing to kind of help them out? Because we think this is super cool.
Yeah. So, and a big shout out to Post Fly and Badfish. They started a Save the Season campaign to give back to guides, and I've been able to talk to a lot of my guiding buddies. They're sharing a lot of information, but, they're basically canceled through May now, and that's kind of their money maker. April, May, just done. Season's over for them, and starting to go into June for a lot of them, and July. And so, we just know there's a lot of people out there that have been affected by this, but it really did take a big toll on the guiding community, who really rely on these couple months right now to make their, annual salaries. And so annual incomes. So they started this really cool campaign, Save the Season, and we're collecting funds to give back to guides, just to help them out through this time. And we knew that's something we had to be part of, so we had this new retainer that's, brand new for us called the Mariner. It's made from recycled fishing line. It's got a silicone end. It's like really actually made for like fishing.
Right.
Like I said, we get stuck in rafting. Sometimes that's where we came from, but we wanted to, our demographic is fishing. So we really wanted to make a fishing retainer. So we made this, kind of for that demographic, and it wasn't really 100% ready to launch, but we heard about this campaign and knew we wanted to be part of it. So we launched that and gave back 25% of all sales of the Mariner back to the Save the Season campaign. But then even wanted to do more and got some of our original cotton chums and put Save the Season on those chums, and 50% of those proceeds are going back to this campaign. So we're really just trying to help out our buddies that need a hand, For us, the guide is like truthfully our core demographic. One thing that's interesting, if you're like a weekend warrior or like semi outdoorsy, you might see a pair of chums and be like, oh, that's what my dad wears. Like, I'm not into that. But like every rafting guide and fishing guide in the country is wearing a pair. And they really help us like show that, like, hey, this is core, it's authentic, it's gritty. It's not just what your dad used to wear. It's what all the guides are wearing too. And that's a tremendous help for us. And it's a demographic that I've really tried with my time here to reach out and connect with these guys. And so we're really appreciative of that demographic. We owe them a lot. We owe them a lot for our success. And, we had an opportunity to give back, and we're trying to find ways to give back to the guiding community as much as we can.
That's wicked. That's wicked, man.
Yeah.
So it's a big network of other like fly brands and brands in the U.S. that are kind of helping in the save the season thing. You said Post Fly, Badfish, was it?
Yeah. Those two guys are kind of the ones that started it, and a lot of people have jumped on.
That's super cool. It's great to see, like, when the community like can come together and help, kind of repair something that's hurting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. And just like, I think it's a demographic that like we've thought, everyone thinks about, who's been affected by coronavirus. It's a demographic that's sometimes forgotten about. They do have an awesome job, right? And so people are like, they have their dream job, but like they make the majority of their money, right? These next couple months, the last month.
Yeah.
And, so they really took a big hit because of all these travel cancellations and social isolation and all of that.
Yeah. No, totally. I know. It's tough to see for sure, but it's cool that this is there's good stuff that comes out of this, so that's really awesome.
Yeah, and I guess if there's any guides out there listening to this, which I'm sure there are a few, Chums wants to help you guys out. Go apply for that Save the Season if you need some financial help. If I can just help you and shoot you out a couple pair of Chums and a hat or something and make your day a little bit better, I'm happy to do that.
Nice.
Awesome.
DM us on Instagram, shoot me an email at James@Chums. But we want to make sure that we can. The hard thing is we sell Chums, right? They're $10.
Yep.
Everyone's got a pair, but we want to do what we can. So if you need another pair, I'll send you one. Whatever we can do to kind of help you and make your day a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we'll put your email in the show notes too, so if people want to find it, they can do it. James@chums.com.
We Yilma and I were in Tobago when all this went down, but we were wearing the Mariner, and they're comfy.
Yeah,
I've had more than enough sunglasses fall off my face into the stream and go downstream to be like, I'm not wearing a retainer.
Oh man, I know.
And I was wearing all those Smiths, so I kind of needed something to secure them.
I almost lost those. Remember those? Remember that? Although in Texas, when I had them on my hat, and we were on the skiffs coming into the marina, and I was borrowing all those sunglasses because I didn't have my polarized ones, and so I had them on my hat, and I took my hat off. And I forgot they were on there, and they went flying into like the ocean, and I was like, holy shit! And, like everything went slow motion, and I like shot my hand in the water and pulled them out, and everybody cheered. I was like, holy Christ, I was close. But if I had a retainer.
Yeah, you did it right in front of the marina too, which was awesome.
Yes,
that's impressive though for the snag. You got the snag before they sunk.
I know. I felt a little, like ninja. I was like, I can't believe I actually got it.
A little ninja.
I can't.
I hope you did like a touchdown dance afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, been straight to spiking them and they just shattered anywhere, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what Chums feels, man. We're the $10 insurance policy for those
exactly.
$20 sunglasses you got around your neck.
Oh yeah, man.
For sure. And it's cool. The Mariners like recycled plastics.
Yeah, recycled fishing line.
Fishing line. Sorry, my bad.
And I'm geeking out right now on the specifics, which means nothing to anyone. But we've usually made our ends out of rubber, and places where it's hot and humidity, that rubber tends over time to kind of start to stretch and not like have that elasticity to like go back and really grip hard. Yeah. And this is after a long time, but we made those ends out of silicone, so you can pull them on and off your glasses as much as you want. And silicone, it always comes back to its original form, so it always kind of tightens back up. And so you can pop those off your different kind of glasses. They're never going to stretch out. And like I said, that's geeking out over the specifics, and no one really understands. But that's another reason we try to really make it fishing oriented, that you can throw it on your glasses.
Yeah, you're speaking to a bunch of geeks. So yeah,
fly people love their gear.
Yeah,
I love it. Okay, James, every show we do 5 questions that we ask every single guest. They're always the same questions. They're called Mitchie's Fishies 5. And they're about their favorite fly fishing questions. So I'm going to ask them to you now. And take your time answering them. No rush. Not buzzer beater questions or anything like that. So this first of Mitchie's Fishies 5 is, what is your favorite fish and why?
Oh, man. It's nothing crazy, but probably a triggerfish. I was lucky enough we would go to Mexico a lot and do some offshore fishing.
Yeah.
And those were the biggest and meanest fighting fish that I got to catch a lot as a kid. And it's always a good time to be in Mexico and be eating good and be fishing good. And it brings back a lot of good memories for me.
Oh man, triggerfish looks so cool. That was Jared from Fly Lords had the same answer too. Triggerfish. I've never caught a triggerfish before, but they're pretty gnarly, eh?
Yeah, man. And like twice in my life, I got to double up with them too, where I had two on the line, and then it just feels, I'm like, oh, I'm bringing in a shark. Like, what's on this thing? It just was fun, man. And, as a kid, just to change it up, I mostly fished in Arizona, but I'd get out, get to do some offshore fishing every once in a while and catch some trigger. That was awesome.
Oh, man, that's rad.
Nice. That's a good answer.
Triggerfish would be cool. I guess that could lead us into the next question, too, which is, if you could fish anywhere in the world right now, where would you go and why?
Provided.
Yeah, it's the best time to go there.
Man, the Keys. And, like, that's opened up. Yeah, that's opened up because of it. A lot of guides have reached out from the Keys. We've been working with a lot. One guy, Justin, I'm going to butcher his last name, Velasquez.
Yeah.
Goes by Captain Juice. He's a guy that's really helped us.
Captain Juice?
Yeah. Captain
That's
Juice.
awesome.
That's his Instagram.
Last name.
But he's a guy that I just connected with through the Save the Season, really. I didn't know him before, and the Save the Season campaign kind of got us connected, and so we've been talking through this, and he's just been sending me videos of the Keys being dead. But I'm like, even with no one on that street, that's the coolest. Like, I just want to go see the Keys, and I want to go fish out there. I want to go fish with him specifically. So
yeah,
I think that's.
I love the Keys.
They look beautiful, eh? They're so nice, eh?
They're so nice.
Like, what is it about the Keys that makes it just awesome?
It's a lot. It's huge.
The fishing's great, right?
For me, man, I go to Orlando like 3 times a year for trade shows. 2 of them are ICAST, which is like the big fishing trade show. And I get stuck in Orlando and, in this like 2-mile radius, and it's a trade show and it's stressful.
Yeah.
So like Florida kind of had like a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, Florida.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not going to Disneyland. Like, that's not my thing. Like, Florida.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm seeing these photos and videos of the Keys, and I'm like, all right, I'll give Florida another chance. Just need to get down there.
Yeah, exactly. Jeez, man.
Yeah, I think like the first time I went, I'd been to Miami before, and I love Miami, being in restaurants and bars or whatever. But then my friend, their parents moved down to the Keys, and I think he had the same reaction too. He's like, "Why are you moving to the Keys, Mom and Dad?"
Yeah.
And then they went down there, and it was like, "What?" So then he told me to come down there and visit them. And yeah, you get off the mainland, and then you're just driving over the ocean into this like paradise. First of all, you drive through Everglades National Park, which is, you don't see a lot, but it's still amazing to be in that kind of setting.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, it's, the Keys are like, I don't know, I can't remember how many islands exactly, but there's the major ones like Key Largo is first, and then you get to Isla Morada, and then Marathon, and then Big Pine, and then finally Key West. And it's just like every island it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's like when you get to Isla Morada, which is kind of like the fly fishing mecca, whatever. Of course, you can fly fish anywhere on that, but anyway, whatever. And it's just like you see white sand flats, and you're like, okay,
beautiful.
It's on. And then you start seeing the tarpon, and you're like, whoa.
Tarpon, man. So sick.
Yeah.
So sick. It's such a beautiful, it's such a great, I'd love to be there right now, eh? It's cold up here. It's cold up here right now. I don't know what's going on.
And there's fly fishing history down there too, right? Like, like that's kind of where saltwater fly fishing was pioneered by like Lefty Cray, and that's where Hemingway fished, So, I mean, like, I don't know.
It's rad.
Pretty cool.
I just had a buddy that was trying to get to the Keys, and I saw that they wouldn't let him in. They were only
residents only.
Yeah.
Oh,
but then he like started he went from like, I can't get into, like, then it definitely looked like he was in and he was fishing there. So I'm not really sure like what happened between those two Instagram stories, but
nothing's keeping him
like
out.
It's on lockdown pretty bad right now, huh?
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 3 of Mitchie's Fishies 5 is, what is your best or favorite fishing memory? It sounds like you got a lot, because you've fished in some pretty rad places.
Yeah. My bad memories are always like the good like bad memories turn to good memories, and they're the most memorable. So
yeah, totally.
Man,
there's a lot of truth to that statement. There's a lot of truth there.
Yeah. So the one that always stands out to me, and I think always will, man, is like I said, we used to go to Mexico to fish a lot. And when I got married, my father-in-law was like pretty hesitant. He was just nervous about us going down there fishing. And anyway, I would always try to take my little brother-in-law. He was like, 14. And I tried to take him for a few years, and my father-in-law wouldn't let me. And finally, like 3 years into being married, he's like, yeah, you can take him. So I get to take my little brother-in-law fishing. He's done a lot of fishing like I have, but like just, very northern Arizona. I fished these 5 places we all fished, and hadn't really been out. So I was so excited to get him out. And so we're out fishing, and he brings in this, and see, this shows my fishing lack of knowledge, but this like sea catfish, right? He's got the big barbs, and excuse me, I bring it in, and when you're too close to inshore, and you guys probably know, so, the pelicans are like sitting around the boat, and they're trying to scoop your fish before you get in the boat.
Yeah.
So I got this thing right to the edge of the water, and I go to rip it in, so it gets through the pelicans, and like you're slow motion with your glasses, man. I swear this is slow motion now for me. This fish just goes flying through the air, and my little like kind of uncoordinated brother-in-law tries to grab it, and the barb just goes straight through. Man. Like through, like this fish is just stuck in him.
Oh my God.
And like, the boat captain, which like, these are not fancy rigs, which I love, right? Like this is like not actually a boat captain, it's some like dude that was like, yo, my friend's got a boat thing. Yeah. So he like cuts this barb off. So now it's just the barb, the fish isn't attached, and he's like, you're gonna have to push it through. You can't pull it back out. You gotta push it through. And it's just it's just like the whole scene of like,
oh my God.
I'm sure it hurt, man, but this kid is just acting like he's like dying, and then we go back, he pulls the barb out, and it's funny that, our guide was just being so funny about it. He pulls the barb out, and then he's just like, I can't feel my legs. I think I'm being paralyzed. Like,
God,
he's just going through the gamut, he's hurting. But he wants us to know that he's hurting. And anyway, I don't know if I'll ever be able to take any of my in-laws fishing in Mexico again. The one, but
what a scene!
It was great, man. It just that'll always be the number one fishing memory, I think, for me, probably.
Just chaos.
That's funny.
Just pure chaos. I love it, man. It's so funny. Number 4 is why do you fly fish, or why do you fish at all? What do you get out of it?
Yeah, so fishing originally for me was just like another way to get outdoors, and and like I said, I grew up hunting was my first love, but then I really did fall in love with fishing because, it filled a lot of the similar, likes that I had from hunting. So it grew up with just like another great way to get outdoors and kind of like feel like you could provide for yourself. I don't know, be active and hike into some stuff, see some beautiful country. And that's where my love for fishing started. And like I said, that took me for most of my life with throwing spinners, and then moving up here and seeing, I guess, fly fishing, that question is like the challenge. Like, I'm like, fishing is always a challenge, but also there's like this another level of like challenge yourself to like, it feels almost like more intimate with the fish. It's like weird as a thing to say that is, but like, you're not throwing your worm into the bottom and just like waiting for a bite, and you're like, all right, this is where the fish is going to be. This is where and so that's, fishing in general is get me outdoors and just, get me active, and I love being outdoors. And then fly fishing was like that next step and that next challenge. And then, I mean, to be honest, and also I'm running marketing for a company that talks about fly fishing a lot. I'm like, I gotta learn how to do this.
Oh, for work, for sure. 100%. Yeah. But it's cool. I think you're right. Like the sport of it, it's more challenging than regular fishing, which makes it more fun.
Yeah.
It's totally true.
Yeah.
Number 5, and the last of the Mitchie's Fishies 5, is if you were a fly pattern, what would you be? What fly represents you best and why? Or lure.
Or lure, yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Or both.
Or both, yeah.
Both.
Sure,
or both, yeah.
Man, like, ready? I'm going deep here.
Okay.
I'm going just like, truthfully, like a night crawler, man.
Yeah?
That's who I am, right? I'm like this small town, country boy that like literally went and dug up my night crawlers in my mom's flower garden in the morning and like
hooking a worm.
Fishing and like,
I love it, man. I think that's great.
I love that.
That's great.
Yeah, man. I just like, that's still who I am at heart, right? I'm still like this little kid that just wants to get out, and is, and like, doesn't have all the gear, and I'm learning and investing in that gear, but like, I still love just going and grabbing a night crawler, man, and
casting it out.
Sitting on the bank in the morning waiting.
Oh man, that's some fun. That's fun right there, man. I'll tell you, like I'll still cast a worm off a dock once in a while and just sit there and smoke a cigar, and you just don't do anything, and then you just catch a fish every once in a while. Like that's fucking awesome.
I caught one of my biggest smallies on a night crawler.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've caught probably truthfully 90% of the fish of my life. I'm not, just 'cause that's what I did for so long, right? Like that's what I did until I was 25. From like truthfully 8 to 25.
Yeah.
Like that's just what I did. We just went out most mornings and like either on our little creek in northern Arizona, which funnily enough is called Silver Creek as well, but it's not world famous fishing.
Yeah.
Or like went to the cow pond and threw that someone had stocked up for a couple of years, and then we just keep it stocked and threw night crawlers out. So
awesome.
I love it, man.
Have you tried bass fishing on the fly?
No. And my buddy that got into it, Peyton, I said kind of introduced me to your podcast too. He talks about it a lot, but he goes to Lee's Ferry so much because it's accessible, So
right.
So I need to, but I have not.
So fun,
no.
man.
We bass fished like that. I think that was all of our first fish on the fly.
Yeah.
Walleye.
Oh, walleye. My bad.
Come on, man. But bass is like, number 2. We fly fish bass like all the time,
All the time.
Yeah,
Like maybe
all the
more
time.
than trout.
Oh yeah.
I for sure need to get in that.
Oh, it's fun, man. It's so fun.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess you'd be a squirmy wormy.
Yeah, if you were a fly. Yeah.
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 Can't get much more just worm on a hook than a squirmy worm. I love that fly. It's so funny.
It's like literally this.
It's just a worm on a hook. I love that. And we invest all this money into fly fishing, and we learn this stuff, and we go to places, and then we fish a worm on a hook. It's too funny. Nightcrawler's very honest answer. I love that. I think that's
our
super
first
cool,
live
man.
bait answer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. See, but you're a fly fishing podcast, but you're talking to like.
Oh yeah.
But that's a funny thing for me, man. Is like there feels like this kind of almost disconnect between like how I grew up and really truthfully how I still consider myself a fisherman, which is like that's still who I am.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the fly fishing community, there feels like there's like this huge hurdle.
Right.
And it's nice for me to see that it's not as big as it was perceived in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And people are way more friendly, and people want you to enjoy what they enjoy. And I still feel like there's this huge demographic that would absolutely love fly fishing.
Yeah.
And chasing bass and chasing different species on a fly reel. But, you grow up not exposed to that. And it just feels like, that's insurmountable for me, right?
Yeah,
like,
I know what you
I'm
mean.
never going to be able to become a fly fisherman. And
I think a lot of people feel that way, Like I don't think you're alone on that one. I mean, when you're outside of it, it's like, oh, what the hell's fly fishing? Like it feels like such a weird kind of club, that you're not really allowed to be part of. But like you said earlier, it's about taking it to the next level. If you're really into fishing and you just really want to, get more into fishing, fly fishing is a great way to do that. It's more challenging. It's more maybe sporting in a way, and it's just a way to really get into it. So I definitely encourage people to just take the leap.
Yeah, and I think the beautiful thing is, truthfully, I feel like every time one person makes that leap, they pull like 3 people in, and then those 3 people pull 3. And that's what happened. Like, truthfully, in this town I live in, I didn't know anyone that fly fish. Like I did not know really even what that was. Like I'd watched a river run through it and thought like like as a kid I thought actually maybe that was like that's what they used to fish with. Like that's that's before
that's where fishing came from.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's like tying a stick and tying a string.
Right.
But anyway, my buddy got into it, and he pulled a few people in, and they pulled a few people in, and now like there's a decent amount of kids that fly fish in my little small hometown community. And it's funny. Silver Creek, Arizona, we got a fish hatchery there, and it's actually become like there's some guides that are taking people out there, and that was not
that's cool.
when I was a kid.
Yeah. No, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like for us too, like we fish bass, pike, like that's what Ontario is. It's bass, pike, and walleye. And sure, there's trout, but like, not that much.
Yeah.
So then we went up north to do some seminars, and people are like, oh, you can catch those things on a fly rod, So I think it's just like, it's like, you're right. Like a river runs through it, as, great of a film it was to like introduce a lot of people into fly fishing. It definitely kept the trout Montana thing in everybody's mind. But I think now people realize that you can pretty much fish for anything, especially now with modern fly lines and rods and like and people get stoked on different types of bass flies and stuff that you can really
and streamers. Like I think if you're gonna get into fly fishing, like it'll happen eventually, and you'll just whatever species you can you fish around you'll be able to catch on a fly rod, right?
And like I'm super interested to do like now that you brought it up, like backcountry Arizona bass. That sounds rad.
Yeah, man.
Super fun.
Yeah.
It's interesting because even my buddy that that really helped me interested even before I worked at Chums, and he's just like he just fly fishes now. I don't think he's ever done that backcountry bass. I'll have to pick his brain about it because he always talks to me about Lee's Ferry or these other places. He never, the Provo River and all these other places. But
amazing places, right?
Yeah, he'd get me into it way easier. He would have especially when he first got into it, was trying to. If he was, let's just go to Black River. I would be like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's amazing. I'm sure it would be amazing.
Oh yeah. Definitely. Why not? I don't see why not. I can't wait to go bass fishing, man. It's coming up, and I'm stoked for that.
We have these little submergers. What are they called again? Although that we use at Mitch's cottage again for bass.
I can't remember the name of it, but I think you were thinking it was dip.
It's like a diver.
Like a diver.
Yeah. Like a little diving frog
like
pattern.
It looks kind of like a little mouse that just sits just above the surface. It's a little submerger, but not too deep, so it's almost like a top water.
Submerger. You almost
inventing
new types of flies.
Well,
the submerger pattern, the yellow diver.
I'm saying submerger because my pal here, James, understands what I'm
submerges
talking about.
itself.
He fished submergers.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, and you can see a couple of ripples when you pull, and that just like crushes largemouth. It's nothing better than a topwater with bass at one of these lakes, or even in these rivers, man. It's probably one of my favorite things to do is those topwater bass. Yeah.
Oh man, warm summer day, topwater largemouth bass doesn't get better than that, man.
Yeah.
You got a beer and a bag of Doritos.
That's the best. That's the pinnacle.
Yeah,
that's the peak. You know, when we're in those moments, I'm like, this is as good as it gets. This is the peak of our life.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All right. Well, James, where can people find Chums? Where can people find you? Give us the spiel.
Yeah, man. I mean, Chums is just chums.com, and our social handle is Chums USA. It's not leaving Canada out. It's just we actually have a big Japan line, which is pretty crazy. So,
cool.
Dividing from our Japan line, but handles Chums USA. My email, it says james@chums.com, and you know, the cool thing about this time is we all do have some more free time on our hands, and something I'm really trying to do with Chums is connect with these communities and connect with people that are following. So shoot me an email, shoot me a DM. Like, I got time to respond. I'd like to get to know, your listeners. I'd like to get to know guys that are out there fishing and see how, kind of pick their brains. We're happy to help out where we can. And, we're an impulse brand. Most of our stuff sells for under $15, and that's kind of our sweet spot. And, but it's been cool through this time, because there's been guys like, hey, here's an idea, or why don't you throw this fish design on a pair of Chums for me, or really just connect with these guys and be like, hey, I've been wearing Chums for 30 years, and I appreciate you. And I love hearing that. And there's a lot of those stories that are coming in. So yeah, reach out. I think this is a cool time for us all to kind of slow down and connect with our communities and really get to know our following a little better. And it's definitely what I'm trying to do. And yeah, there's some cons about, selling a lower price product, but there's some pros, and one of the pros is I could send a lot of them out. So so shoot me an email. I'll get you a pair of Chums, if you want to even just test them out.
There you go.
Right on.
And we'll put the site in the show notes and your email and contact as well. And thanks so much for coming on, man. It was great to meet you and talk about some really cool places to go fishing, and of course Chums and the stuff you guys are doing with Save the Season. So thanks.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks for the time.
Nice meeting you, James.
Thanks, James.
Yeah, looking forward to doing some more work together in the future.
Hell
yeah, let's go fishing.
Get on the water. It's gonna be fun.
All
right. Thanks, James. See you later.
Take it easy.
Well, that was James from Chums. James, thanks for coming on. It was a fun discussion, and check Chums out. They're pretty cool.
And yeah, it's cool. It's always cool to see, I don't know, when companies actually give back to the community.
Yeah, I like that initiative that they're doing down there in the U.S. It's great.
It's awesome how quick some people responded in a very positive way to everything that was happening.
Oh yeah, and how the whole kind of community comes together with saying post fly and bad fish and all that. It's cool. It was cool to hear about all the different places James has fished, because it's like, man, he's fished at some like pretty rad places.
I know. It's cool too, right? Like you said, Mitch, while we were talking with him, like, he sees his streams through a certain lens.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, I would love to hike into the backcountry of Arizona and fish for bass. Like, how sick would that be?
That sounds super cool,
Arizona's
man.
beautiful, like beautiful.
Well, he did talk about something that was interesting when he said, my best favorite fishing memory was actually my worst fishing memory, but then when I remember it was awesome. And it's just like Eric and Temagami from Temagami Outfitters, his types of fun. That's what it kind of reminded me of, because Eric talked about types of fun, and he said what was it, the third level of types of fun was that,
It was the second one,
right? And it's all about like It's a work, you work for it. It's kind of a pain in the ass. In the moment, it might be a little uncomfortable or frustrating or shitty, but then later you look back on it and you talk about it with your friends and you remember it as kind of, remember when, Yilma fell in the river and lost his fly fishing rod and stuff like that, So it's like,
it's in the moment you don't think you're having fun, but then when you look back on it, it'll be a story that you never forget. Like you'll talk about it for Christmases,
exactly,
birthdays, like reunions to come.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe that's awesome. That's exactly the story. It was when I fell with those saltwater boots.
Well, do we want to talk about ours? Is that what we're doing right now? Is that what you're doing right now, Yilma?
Yeah. That's exactly
what he's doing.
That's what I was alluding to. I mean, because I was trying to figure out, stories, but then that makes sense.
Okay, Yilma, what's your worst fishing? What's your worst fishing story that in retrospect is awesome?
My worst fishing story would have to be the time I bought saltwater boots, thinking that they were freshwater boots because obviously I was green. And
where'd you buy them?
I bought them at sale. And the employee was quite a nice guy, but he's like, yeah, you should get those. Those are cool. They look like snowboarding boots. And I'm like, oh, cool. So I bought them, and he knew exactly where I was going to. I'm just like, I'm going to the Grand or the Credit and whatever. And then I went fishing with Mitch we went steelheading. So it wasn't a warm day. It was, things were a little cool. So obviously the plastic the rubber underneath the boot kind of, froze up a little.
For sand.
For sand, exactly. And and then we were walking down towards the bank, and then I slipped, broke my rod tip, and ended up being a story I probably mention 50% of the time we podcast because it's hilarious that I got had and broke my rod. I mean, Echo, thankfully, in like a week, I got my rod tip replaced. They're great. And then, but at the same time, 2 minutes after I slipped, Mitch caught a nice sized walleye on that river.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, but so that would be my worst. That turned out to be a really funny fishing story.
I love that. And then you just had saltwater boots.
Yeah, and now I have saltwater boots.
Which you've used a lot in the last 2 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is great.
That's awesome.
Nitchy?
My worst fishing story that in retrospect is actually pretty fun to talk about and think about was my first fish on the fly rod. And actually, remember we were talking about this, came up earlier when you're like, oh, I think it was a bass. And I was like, no, I actually caught a walleye. I don't know if I've ever told you the story of my first fish on a fly rod. I might have like early on in the podcast series, but it was a crazy day. Let me tell you what happened on that day, my friends.
Let me just pour some 40 Creek for this one.
Oh, he's getting a little sip of the 40.
Yeah, but 40 Creek.
Lilma, you got a little 40 Creek on you?
Oh, of course I got a 40 Creek going on, man. I always do.
Can you guys send me a bottle? Can you guys send me a bottle of 40? Because I'm like out.
You know what? My dad has a bottle at my house in Ottawa if you want to drive to his house.
Oh, man. I guess I could also just go to the LCBO.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But you could go to my dad's.
Yeah. Have a drink with your dad.
We had that bottle. We bought that bottle for Colin for Christmas.
Oh, awesome. So good.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you should go to his dad's, actually. Then you won't have to wait in line at the LCBO.
Yeah, and you can see if he's alive. Because I'm not really sure if he is.
Oh, man. Okay, you guys pour some 40 Creek. I'm going to tell you about my worst fishing story that's I like to remember. So my first fish on the fly rod, I was like a teenager or whatever, and it was early in the season. Like it was early in the walleye season, and I took a canoe out onto a lake, and I was using a floating line, but I had a black marabou leech on and a pretty long leader, and it was, I don't know, maybe 15 feet deep there, 20 feet deep, and I let this fly sink right to the bottom without thinking about it because I was looking at my flies and kind of, I was just like, I was fumbling around. I was like trying to hold the paddle and my flies and everything. And my fly got, like, I went to pull my rod up and it got stuck on what I thought was a log. Also had an anchor down in the back. And I thought the fly was stuck on a log, and then I started pulling on it, and it started to pull back, and I was like, oh shit, this is a fish or whatever. And at that point I had the anchor pulled down, and the fish was kind of pulling the canoe. So I was like, geez, I gotta get the anchor up so I don't tangle around. It was a shit show. Okay. So I got the anchor rope down. It's cold. I'm alone in this canoe. I've never fly fished really. Like I fly fished a little bit, but this is like my first fish ever on a fly rod. And I had like an old Scientific Anglers combo that I bought.
It cold.
And I was like, one hand I'm fighting this fish. I don't know what it is, but it was pretty decent. The other hand I'm trying to pull the anchor up, but then the anchor got stuck on a log, so I couldn't get the anchor out. And so then the canoe almost flips, like really almost flips. Like I was like, the edge of the canoe like kissed the water, and my fly box went flying. And I was like, oh Jesus, yeah. And I went into the lake, and I kept fighting the fish, and then I got the fish up, and I was like basically just like I was like, okay, I can't get the anchor up, so I have to avoid the rope, and I got the fish up. And it was like a 24-inch walleye, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I was like, "That's pretty cool." And then, I got it off the hook off quick and released it, and then, and I was pretty stoked. I mean, that was my first fish. It was a good memory for sure, and obviously like a really nice fish and an interesting fish to be catching even on a fly rod at all. But,
that's cool.
In the moment, I was definitely full panic mode. You know, it was full panic.
I would love to. That'd be. It's one of those moments where you wish you had a camera.
Yeah.
Following you around.
Totally. It totally is, because it was not graceful at fucking all. It was like not a beautiful moment. It was like panic. It was just pure panic. But it was my foray into the fly fishing world, I suppose. But yeah, interesting memory. I mean, there's a bunch of them though, you know, where it's like most of the time it's just like something shitty happens, but then you look back like James's story, you know, where his brother got his brother-in-law got a hook through his hand. I mean, like
no, it was the barb of the fish, like
barb of the fish. Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. It was the barb. I thought it was the barb of the hook on the the fish on the hook.
No, it was like, you know, like how catfish have whiskers or whatever.
Yeah.
So whatever fish it was.
Oh my god, that's insane.
The barb went through his hand.
Because he was trying to catch it. Shit, I thought it was the hook with the fish on it, and I was like, that's really awkward for that fish. Jesus, okay, crazy.
No. It was so they had to cut the barb off of the fish's face.
Yeah.
And then pull it through.
Yeah. That's crazy. Well, okay, so yeah, but you know, I've hooked myself in the back of the head. I've hooked friends. I've hooked.
Oh my god! I hooked Matt in the back of the shoulder in Texas.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I'm never fishing again.
I know.
I felt so bad.
Well, you know.
What happened with that story? Although, sorry, Mitch.
Yes.
Was it okay? He pulled it out. It was fine.
Yeah. Well, I think it just hit him. Like it didn't go in him.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Matt's just like the nicest guy. It's just I saw, you know, like when you're in the flats boat, right? You've got. I mean, obviously, if you look forward, that's 12 o'clock. And then on one side, you're supposed to do a back cast to deliver the fly.
Yeah.
And then on the other half, you're supposed to do the forward cast, right? Depending on where the fish is.
Yeah.
I crossed up the cast and I went forward when I should have went back. I should have waited. I got too excited when I saw the fish. I should have just waited for him to turn the boat like he does expertly every time.
Yeah.
But I didn't, and I hooked him in the back of the shoulder like a dummy.
He's cool. He's cool with it.
But Matt was like, okay, we're just not going to do that again.
And Matt's the best. Matt's going to be on the show, by the way. We did an episode with Matt, and he's coming out in a pretty soon, on a Sunday soon, coming to your ears. Matt, of course, being Matt Dodson, guide in Montana that we fished with in Texas. Awesome guy.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Aldo, what's your best memory?
Oh, there's so many.
On the Huata.
So many because I've blown it so many times.
Yeah.
So many times. Well, I guess I'll just do the first one because the whole thing originated kind of on this trip to Temagami, where Eric was telling us about the types of fun, right?
Yeah.
Type 1 is like obvious fun. You're having fun. You're laughing. You're outside with your friends. You're at a party, whatever. Type 2 is like, wow, this sucks.
Yeah.
You really realize you're having fun, but then you look back on it and you're like, oh, that was actually kind of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then type 3 fun is like the kind of fun you have in like Vegas where you're not really supposed to talk about it.
Types of fun.
So type 2 fun was probably on that trip. So this is like, we've been talking about going down the Lady Evelyn for a while, trying to find, big brook trout on the Lady Evelyn River in Temagami.
Yeah.
We got to Temagami last fall, right? Fall?
It was like September.
It was like Labor Day weekend, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't there, but I recall.
Yeah, and we sleep in Eric's store the first night.
Yeah.
And no, at the cottage, my bad. We were at the cottage the first night. That was super fun.
Yeah, cottage first night.
And then we get back to Tamagami Outfit, and we load up all the stuff. We've got the gear, we got the canoes. Eric's like, oh, grab the paddles. I'm not going to say who forgot the paddles, but anyway.
Oh my god.
And and we're like, get the paddles, get the canoes. We drive about, I don't know, an hour and a half. Probably that down to the beginning of the
River.
The beginning of the river system.
Yeah.
And it just starts pouring rain.
Yeah.
And it's a thunderstorm, so we can't go on the water. So we have to wait out the thunderstorm. And then so after like a while, finally we got a window where we can start, or at least go to our first campsite.
Yeah.
And then we're getting in the canoes, and we realize that there's 3 canoes, 6 of us, and we realize we're a paddle short.
God.
Yeah. So then I ended up
What'd you guys do?
I ended up paddling Gab in like 150 pounds of gear by myself.
Nice. Yeah.
Nobody offered, so I just did it.
He did it. He did it the way. Yeah. That was very cool.
And but you know what?
Yeah.
It despite
that shit happening. Yeah.
despite that shit happening, because Gab had a free hand the whole time, we got amazing photos.
Yeah, there's some cool photos.
Because
we
paddled the whole river system with him shooting. He had a zoom lens, and we got some awesome footage.
Yeah.
Kind of because of that mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, and then looking
That I
back
didn't
on it,
make.
it's like kind of hilarious. And also, I think I got better at paddling because of it.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Because I'm not really that great of a paddler anyway.
Well, it's good practice then. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then when you see Eric paddle alone,
Oh my god,
It's
it's
insane.
ridiculous. It's insane.
it's insane.
He just like soars.
How adept he is at paddling.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
incredible.
He's like his boat's like a laser going through the water.
Yeah. Yeah, he's pretty tuned in with it, eh?
Yeah.
He's
I
like
wonder how
one with
Eric's
the
doing.
boat.
I'd like to. We got to talk to Eric, man. I wonder how he's doing up there.
I was texting him the other day.
How is he?
He's good. He's cleaning up the new store, and he set up like the drum kit and all of his band stuff. And his son is like apparently like a phenom, a drumming phenom.
Nice.
But hopefully he's okay, and hopefully he can get a season out of this season. Like hopefully there's
Yep.
some form of a summer
Yep. Totally.
or fall even,
Yep.
where people can enjoy the new space, because it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Another thing, everybody listening, I don't know if you've seen on our Instagram or on our Facebook or at sofly.ca/trashflies, but we've started a little initiative that we're really excited about. We had we did a little cleanup on the Humber River a little while ago, and we went and picked up some garbage because we're just getting sick of seeing all this garbage, on the rivers. I mean, everybody is, and people are trying to do stuff about it, but it still is here. So it's like maybe there's more we can do to try to move things forward. So anyways, we had this idea to clean up some garbage from the Humber, and then we gave the trash to 2 really good tires, Chris from Drift Outfitters and Nick Groves out in Fergus, and they tied a couple flies using the trash. And we've got we have
They
those
are
images.
amazing flies.
They're so
like,
cool.
The artistry on them is amazing.
They did a great job. Chris turned a Timmy's cup into a really amazing fly.
Like a salmon fly.
Yeah, and it's got like the whole wing and the hackle, and he did a great job. So check that out on our Instagram. And Nick did a Doritos bag fly that we're going to be releasing on Monday, so tomorrow.
An articulated streamer, which of course is what he's known for tying, and it also looks amazing.
Oh god,
it's like,
it's so cool, man. Like they did such a great job, and we're just super stoked that we can share them on our page, and we've partnered with Trout Unlimited Canada and Swim Drink Fish, who have we're driving attention to those organizations because they do obviously tons of great work to get people helping with cleanups and helping Swim Drink Fish does citizen science stuff. So it's like getting people active and monitoring water and just making all that stuff accessible and making all that stuff giving people a place to take action. So yeah, so in the name of the campaign, we're pushing people to sign up and pledge to do river cleanups with Trout Unlimited Canada, and also to become a citizen scientist and learn about Swim Drink Fish's stuff, so you can help become more involved in the Great Lakes water and the water in your community, because they're out west as well and all over They have some different chapters across Canada. So yeah, check out sofly.ca/trash flies, because that's where you can sign up for that stuff. And we really ask that you do, because it's just there's nobody else. Like, we need to mobilize, and we need to come together and try to not only do the cleanups and do the water quality checks and do all the stuff that needs to be done, but also I don't know, try to push our government, our province to end or find alternatives to single-use trash. So we've also started a petition on change.org to get actual government attention, and maybe even, push some legislation forward, or at least just continue putting pressure and trying to like change the conversation, or create the conversation to change what we're doing in Ontario, because I don't know, single-use stuff is just, there's got to be a better way for all this stuff. I'm so tired of seeing garbage on the rivers, and it's not people littering necessarily. Like, that happens, but if there's garbage, it ends up in the water, and you see it in the Humber. There's so much garbage in the Humber, and it's just because it's on the roads and it's in the parking lots, and it ends up in the river, and it's so bad. The microplastics are the worst. But anyways,
and such a clear example of everything being connected is, it's a really good point. It's not just people littering; it's just garbage in general.
Yeah.
When we were in Mexico, we got to the beach in Bocapila and Tulum, and for as long as you could see along the shoreline, it was like a 2 or 3 foot wide,
like line,
just line of trash that had just washed up from who knows how it got in the ocean or where it got in the ocean, and it was all plastic. It was all like bottles and flip flops and whatnot. So yeah, it's not just littering's not just a problem; it's the source.
Exactly. So it's gnarly, and so I think we need to find ways to, people that are creating single-use trash and single-use plastics need to find alternatives, because this isn't working. So, anyways, if there's any experts on this stuff out there, and we're probably going to talk to some over the next few weeks, but reach out to us, because again, we're not experts on this stuff. We're just concerned. We're just kind of pissed off about seeing all this garbage in our waterways, and we're trying to
concerned citizens.
Yeah, we're just trying to do something about it. So if you know more about it, please reach out, and maybe we can work with you to continue the discourse. But check it out, and also on top of that, we're asking people to tie flies using garbage from your local river. Do a little cleanup if you can, if it's safe to do so, if you're allowed to go on the water and pick up a couple bottles maybe, and or some trash, and tie a fly using the trash safely again. Wash it, don't do anything gross. We're not.
Yeah, don't pick up any needles.
Yeah, we're not on the hook for any of this stuff. You can also just use trash at home, but it's basically what we're trying to do is raise awareness around the problems regionally. So this isn't something unique to us. So all over North America, all over Canada, the world, there's this problem. So yeah, if you can, tie up a fly using some trash and post it using #trashflies, and we're gonna pick somebody in June, our favorite fly, and we're gonna give them a $100 gift card to Drift Outfitters. So
yeah, thanks Drift.
Yeah, thanks Drift. So go out there, tie some trash flies, hashtag it. We'll find it. We'll be very grateful that you're helping push the conversation forward. And we'll give you $100 at Drift, baby, to buy online.
Sweet. And then when we're all back on the rivers, you can look to your local chapter of Trout Unlimited, or maybe even like Friends of the Grand River or the Credit River Angling Association, or whatever local river you might be a part of, because they always organize cleanups and they do a lot of hard volunteer work. And if you can help them out, that's also awesome, even for a day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So check it out. SoFly.ca/trashflies. It's in the show notes as well. I don't want to end on a sad note though. I want to pump this back up. What are you guys looking forward to most coming up? Like, what are we doing? We got trout opener next weekend. Trout opener's coming up next weekend, and we got Joe's coming on the show, and we're going to talk about trout opener histories, all the favorite trout openers that he's been a part of over the years. I think that's going to be fun.
That's going to be awesome.
And then
I'm just looking forward to seeing you guys again.
I know, eh?
Weird. I was on that note of trout opener. I was looking at pictures from our trout openers a lot from years past, and I was just like, man. Yeah. I remember going to smash some burgers and then hitting the river, and I was like, fun. Man, how great would a burger and a fish be right now?
So fun.
Not like eating a fish, like going fishing.
Yeah, 100%, man.
How great would some Wendy's and
Some trout fishing bee right now.
Some trout fishing bee right now.
So sick, man. Oh my god. Friend of the show, also Canadian Trout Bum. Canadian Trout Bum. You know the fellow that makes those stickers.
And we got to tie. He put us in a little challenge to tie flies on a safety pin.
Oh, that's
So
right.
I got to do that this weekend because now I got some time. Maybe we can do that tomorrow.
I'm doing that tomorrow too, 100%. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me.
Oh, can we do it together, Aldo?
No. Yeah, of course, man.
Amazing.
I'm kidding. Oh, he got all dejected.
Yum, have you tied yet? You have your
No,
stuff.
Aldo's gonna give me a little.
Why do I gotta? Okay, fine. Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah,
we'll do
refresher. What do you mean? Why? Aldo.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he's been cooped up too long.
Yum,
let's just hang out tomorrow, please.
Yum,
okay?
Google.
We can hang out later today.
We're hanging out right now, baby.
Yeah,
no,
baby.
I mean, well, why don't we all why don't look? I got a big monitor now. Why don't we do this later tomorrow and tie some flies?
We could do it later today, this afternoon.
We could tie flies whenever the
Once my laundry's done.
I gotta work out first.
I'm doing laundry too.
Nice, Mitch. Okay, yeah, no, I think that's a good point. Yeah, ending on a high note. I can't wait to. I'm tying flies. I think this is the most stocked my fly box is ever going to be in my entire life.
That's good.
And I'm ready. When they let me out, I'm ready. Like a horse at the gate.
Yeah.
So on that note, Aldo.
A horse race.
Horse at the gate.
That was a terrible analogy.
Yeah.
Aldo.
Yeah.
So on that note, I took some time to kind of organize my pike box. Pike, half bass. And I am super excited. I hope that we get out of a good time so that we can use them.
It's pike flies from that friend of the show that sent them in.
Yeah,
yep.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for sending those flies. Excited to see them and use them.
They're beautiful. Probably the nicest pike flies I've seen, and I can't wait to use them. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's fun, guys. Very, very fun. Check out everybody listening. Check out our YouTube channel because I'm gonna upload. We're gonna be uploading. We did blindfolded fly tying with Matt Dodson. Our friend and guide out of Montana. So check that out. It's gonna be on our YouTube channel. Go to sofly.ca/trashflies and enjoy tying flies at home. And thanks for listening to the show. And we'll see you next time.
See you, everyone.
That's it for me.
Everybody.
That's it for me, Mitch. Aldo.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
You can find all of SoFly's content at sofly.ca. On Instagram, we're at the SoFly Crew. You can reach us at thesoflycrew@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or concerns. On Facebook, we're SoFly, and our podcast is available on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify.